So good news, we have a new video in the Well-Architected Series as part of the Azure Enablement show, in which we're going to be talking to Saket Gupta about a tool that will give us the advice we need right at our fingertips to improve our Azure workloads. Welcome to the Azure Enablement Show, where we'll be discussing the challenges you and our other tech-savvy customers have encountered. Together, we'll be talking with experts to find out how they think about these problems, recommended tools and best practices, and tips they've learned from years of experience that you can use. So today, we'll be exploring a tool that provides essential advice at your fingertips, basically, for improving Azure workloads. So in order to explore this tool and to talk about this, I think it's probably better to see what it's like if you're the customer using this tool. So let me switch to customer mode. Hey, Saket. So thank you for being here today. I was told that you could help me out with this question that I have. Just to introduce myself, I'm an engineering director here at Contoso Hotels, and we've been doing this migration to Azure, and it's been going really well. But we're having this thing going on where there's this responsibility shifting from being one big central operations team to individual workload teams. And now sort of every application owner is responsible for their performance and their reliability and the cost and the security. And so I would just like to know, like, do we customers have any tools that Microsoft gives us to be able to handle that?
Hey, David, it's great to be working with you on this one, and thanks for briefing the scenario. Azure has built Azure Advisor, which is the exact tool you are looking for. Once you migrate to Azure infrastructure, Azure will completely take care of your physical hardware and virtualization. But the rest of the things, as a customer, you have to take care of. But Azure has built so many tools to help you with that, like Azure Cost Management, Azure Security Center, Azure Policy, and of course, Azure Advisor. Azure Advisor helps you in improving the optimization posture for your workloads and applications. And it's free of cost. Like once you are part of Azure family, you get all these offerings as free. So let's go deep in Azure Advisor, and let me walk you through how Azure Advisor can help you with your business scenarios.
I would really appreciate that.
Great. Okay. So here you can see Azure Advisor is your personalized cloud consultant. It provides you best practice recommendations, which are tailor-made for your applications. And these recommendations are super actionable. It's low cost, low investment. The biggest thing here is Advisor aligns really well with well-architected framework. So all the categories you see in Advisor are the same categories which your distributed responsibility challenge will cater to. So for example, cost is one category. The other categories are performance, reliability, security, and operational excellence. So your different teams in your organization focusing on one category in Advisor are taking care of different pillars of well-architected framework. So let's now talk about how does Advisor generate the recommendation.
Okay.
And let's understand how it can be very impactful in your business scenario, right?
Cool. So let me. Okay, you want to show me how it works? Excellent. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So in my screen, if you see the left side, imagine this is your application and your workload. So all your resources are sitting on the left side, and this is your Azure infrastructure. And so Azure, captures all the telemetry for your resources usage and configuration. So on the right side, you will see Azure services. And imagine these services are capturing all your telemetry. So now what Advisor does is Advisor builds a smart intelligence over this telemetry. So let's take an example. If you are using virtual machines for your application, then Azure services are capturing your CPU, memory, and network utilization. And Advisor has built models which use these three attributes and come back and recommend you to resize or shut down underutilized VMs, which will save you a lot of cost. So that's one recommendation I talked about. Similarly, Azure Advisor does this for different services and resource types and generate the whole breadth of recommendations for your application.
Cool. So I think I would really love it if you could just take a moment to look at like one of our workloads, the diagram, the architecture diagram for it, just so I can understand how I'm going to apply this to what I'm actually running right now.
Yeah, totally. Let's talk about it.
Cool. So this is the architecture for the main app that we're having that handles things like the bookings for hotels. It has a mobile component to it. There's lots of moving pieces here, and that's where I get sort of a little lost in how I can apply this tool given all the things that it could look at. So can you help me understand where it's going to pull information and what useful stuff I can get from it for my case?
Oh yeah, sure thing. David, can you speak about which is your most business critical application in your architecture? This architecture looks very nice.
Yeah, I think that's probably reasonable. So, okay, so there's three things going on here, right? On the left, you can see that there's this public website, which is kind of important because that's how people interact with it. There are APIs that this talks to in the backend that is running in Azure Kubernetes service. And so it's really crucial as part of this that they are able to connect to that. And down at the bottom, there is a database, and that database is serving this. And so this is all providing sort of the front end and then a booking API so people can book hotels.
Perfect. Okay. And booking API and booking application should be like a business critical application for you, because
That's how people get hotel
booking doesn't work. Yeah. Okay. So let's focus on these two. And Azure Kubernetes Service is already onboarded to Advisor, so as the data stores like Cosmos DB and SQL DB. So let's go into the Azure portal and try some recommendations and the experiences to help you understand how you can leverage Advisor to stay optimized and maintain your business continuity for your all applications. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So this is Azure portal, and this is the Azure Advisor landing page. You can get to this page by typing Advisor here, or you can get to this page from portal's left nav. So if you click here, you will see Advisor here. So this is the landing page. What you are seeing here is the recommendation for all your subscriptions, under which the applications you wrote for your infrastructure are all the resources exist in these subscriptions. So basically, what you're doing here is you are defining the scope for which you want the advisor recommendations for. It's also very critical here, like you maintain the hygiene for your subscription distribution so that you can leverage the tool in the best possible fashion. Okay.
Yep.
So coming to the home page, you will see different categories in Advisor. These again map to well-architected pillars. So cost, security, reliability, performance, and operational excellence. Now, what you are seeing is the number of recommendations under each of the pillar here. So for example, under cost, you have 2 recommendations. These recommendations are for 4 resources, and these can be for different resource types like virtual machines or IP containers, whatever we have recommendations for. And by taking action on these 2 recommendations, you can save up to around $2,000 in annualized savings. So this is how you read this page overall.
Yep.
So let's go forward and engage with one of the recommendation here. So I'm going to choose performance, because performance and reliability is most important for you and for the booking application overall. So I clicked on it, and I will get to the performance page. So here you will see the list of all the performance recommendation. Right now you have 1, and this is for your Kubernetes service. So Advisor has identified that 7 of your Kubernetes clusters are working on an unsupported Kubernetes version. Now this is a very high risk on your performance, because an unsupported version can get you into trouble situations.
Yep.
So other things you can see is the filters for subscription and grouping. So if you have multiple recommendation here, you can group them by subscriptions. But coming to the Kubernetes recommendation here, let's go forward and start taking action on this recommendation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this recommendation. And by clicking, you will get to the recommendation details page. Here you will have some more information about the recommendation. There is a learn more link, which will take you to the detailed recommendation description, how it was generated, and what it talks about. So if you want to read and learn more about this recommendation. And then down below, it will list down all the clusters for which this recommendation is applicable to. So it will give you exact details for all the clusters. You can do a group by subscription here to see like what all subscriptions are impacted. You can also do group by resource group if that's the grain you work on. And that's the beauty of Advisor. Like it goes to all the grains which you as a Azure consumer operates on. So here you are now well aware of what all clusters are working on unsupported Kubernetes version, and you are ready to take action. So here, like to take action for this specific recommendation, we have this link which talks about the steps you have to take to update the version of your Kubernetes. Uh, there are certain recommendations also where you can take instant action. And I'm going to show you another recommendation where you can take the action right here only.
Okay.
So that completes the whole recommendation flow where you get to the recommendation category, you find the right recommendation, and you take action. Yeah.
So I'd be interested in seeing the one that's an instant action, and then I have a really quick follow-up question about this because now I'm getting a little nervous about something that I'll tell you about in a second.
Sure thing. Okay, cool. So let's go to the home page back and go to Advisor again. And I'm going to tell you like a very instant action one is a cost recommendation.
Okay.
And so let's engage with that one. And I already talked about the right size and shutdown VM recommendation. This gives you cost savings. And let's engage with that. So you also see a tag here called Quick Fix.
Mm-hmm.
And we have introduced this functionality to reduce the cost of taking action. And I'm going to show you how it reduces the effort and cost of on taking action on these recommendations. So what this recommendation is about is your virtual machines are underutilized. And this is based on our analysis and a smart intelligence we have built on the service telemetry. And what we are recommending here is either resizing your virtual machines to a SKU, which is cheaper, or shutdown. So you don't have the shutdown recommendation here, but you have two virtual machines which could be resized to a lower size SKU. So from DS2 to B2, and you will save a lot of money if you do that.
Okay.
So an instant action here could be you just select these two recommendations. And if you have more, you can multi-select. And with a single click, you can remediate this recommendation. So if I do that and I click OK, it will just go ahead and remediate these recommendations. So I intentionally had one which showed error. And you can also get the definition of the error, what happened, why these are not being recommended, and you can further take action to remediate these recommendations.
Okay, so I know you don't have a lot of time today, so let me see if I can ask my two questions that get me a little nervous. The first one is, I appreciate that there's all these things, and I appreciate Advisor is going to tell me what I need to do, but I'm kind of fuzzy on how I'm going to stay on top of all of this, because it looks like I could be getting recommendations all the time. And does that mean I should just be in the portal all day long? Like, what do I do to make sure that I'm not missing things?
And that's the super foundational question, David. We get it from all our bigger customer. As you grow your Azure footprint, you have bigger subscriptions and bigger applications. The number of recommendation also gets bigger in the number in the count of. And it's very difficult to keep tab on or stay on top of those recommendations and achieve continued optimization. So to achieve that, we have introduced two capabilities in Advisor. And these are here. Like the first one is alerts, and the second one is recommendation digest. So let's talk about alerts first. So, so these are standard Azure Monitor alerts, which you can build on your subscriptions for recommendations. So a scenario where you have, you talked about the distributed ownership or responsibility for optimization.
Right.
This fits in really well in there. So what you could do is like, or the teams who are taking care of the distributed ownership, like a performance optimization team, what they can do is they can create an alert for a subscription for their area. So like, for example, here you selected a subscription and you can select a category here. So say performance. Now, what it will do is whenever there is a new recommendation generated under performance category, it will give you an Azure Monitor alert. You can also, make it at a recommendation level. So, like if you just care about your Kubernetes service, then you just type Kubernetes and you can select a recommendation, which I just showed you before. And then whenever there is a new cluster which has an unsupported Kubernetes version, this will generate an alert for you. Now, these alerts can be configured for an action group. And the beauty of action group is like these are Azure resources which support different channel types. So you can get this alert over an email, over a text, or a call, or you can have a webhook endpoint which over which you can build connectors, which creates tickets in your organization, which can be acted upon by different people. So it's like a workflow management. And finally, like you can also build automation over these alerts. So you can write a function app or a logic app. And what it will do is like whenever this alert or the new recommendation generated, that app is triggered and it automatically takes care of the remediation of this recommendation.
Okay, so what was the digest thing that you mentioned? And then I'll ask you my final question.
Oh yeah, sure thing. So the second one is recommendation digest. And this is perfectly suited for you, David, because you are like the engineering director and you don't want the granular details of what that recommendation is about and how to remediate this recommendation. You just want the summary of all your recommendation for different pillars so that you can understand and plan forward on how to maintain the optimization posture for your Azure ecosystem. So what this one does is like if you create a digest for the subscription and select a category here, so like you can multi-select. So here, imagine you have selected all the categories. And if you select a frequency, say bi-weekly, then what it will do is like every 2 weeks, it will send you a summary of your recommendation. So like how many performance, how many reliability recommendations you have. And this will help you really well in planning and kind of getting a sense of how much investment we have done, how different teams and departments are progressing in their optimization journey. And this again supports action group. So you can get it based on what all channel types is suitable for you.
Cool. Okay,
Yeah.
so here's my final question. You've been super generous with your time. The only concern I have left after all this is I see like when I go to Azure Advisor now, I see like I have a ton of recommendations and some number of impacted resources. I see some potential savings, but I can't tell whether like I'm doing well for what I want to be doing. I can't tell if this is good, is it bad? How do I know if those are if I have an acceptable number? Because you said they grow over time, and if I should be concerned.
You know what, David? We have just the right feature for you. And it's advisor score and the experience. Like this is the industry standard score we have introduced. And let's talk more about it in our next session because this
Cool.
is complex enough and it has great value overall in what you talked about.
Cool, I'd love that. And if you happen to know anybody who's sort of an expert in advisor score, I hope you'll bring that person along.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I have just the right person also to talk about advisor score.
Excellent. Well, with that, I think I probably should switch back to host mode. Well, it was really great to talk to Saket and hear what he would say to a customer. I really appreciate you listening, and I hope you got some really useful information on this. Please join us next time when we pick up on that really cool feature that I just heard about called Advisor Score. See you then.